Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Liverpool Connection podcast. 2-0 victory over
Never in doubt, right?
never doubt. Who is it?
Union Saint-Gilloise. That's why I'm going.
So that's a Scottish guy trying to speak French. So anyway, 2-0 victory. We're here in the Europa League. And it's weird watching games on a Thursday versus a Tuesday, Wednesday. And the crowd here at our favorite pub, BD Riley's here in Austin, Texas, kind of is indicative of that we're playing just Europa versus Champions League. But anyway, Jono, we're here. You win the game. It's the results business, so we ended up winning. It wasn't the prettiest game. I had predicted 6-0 going into the game.
Spot on there, Steve.
It's spot on. Nunez fucked me over because he could have had a hat trick in the first half. But anyway, so let's talk about it. What surprised you in the lineup? I know what surprised me, but let's hear what you have to say about the lineup.
Other than Doak not being in it? No. Let's see. Maybe thought that Trent might get the last 30 or something, but, I mean, he clearly had a plan to give him a certain amount of minutes. That was fine. I guess some people were thinking, including me, probably that Jones would start with him being out. But I think when you think about it, he's probably thinking, well, these guys have started together in Europa and Carabao Cup. So he probably thinks, okay, these guys are learning with each other. So he maybe wants to keep that to begin with. Goes really strong in the front line. And so, yeah, it wasn't too much of a surprise, the lineup, when you really think about it.
Well, I think it's surprising that Salah started, in my opinion. That Jones didn't start, knowing that he has a 3-game suspension in the league. But, you know, we do have Brighton and then the international break. Maybe Klopp just wanted him in there. But with this team, there's a lot of options now, right? There's multiple people that can play that right-back hybrid role. I was surprised that Trent actually started. I thought he would come in the last 30 minutes and let Jones play that right-back hybrid role. But, man, we're half speed, right? It seemed like we were half speed the whole game.
I thought we started pretty well at a reasonable pace, but then, we were saying it seemed like after the Nunez miss.
Let's talk about that miss. You and I have played footy together for a long time, and I don't even think you've missed something as easy as that.
Yeah, but
no, I don't know. It's not on camera.
That's a bad one. It's a bad one for sure. He looked like a big guy like me clumsily getting their feet, not in the right place. I don't know whether he should have gone with his left or just needed to move his feet quicker. I just felt like a lot of guys were not quite sharp, not quite on it, right? There was a lot of times after that where there were passes that were just slightly underhit or to the side of players instead of zipped into feet. And then the more the half grew on, the more that happened. Like they kept sort of just getting nervier and just more misplaced passes.
Yeah, and then Nunez is like, it would have been easier just to put it into the near post, and he tries to be cute, go to the far post, and it was a horrible miss. It will just add to the rhetoric about him not being a top class player. But the thing is, when he comes off the pitch, we don't get as many chances. He creates chances, whether he converts them or not. He's always in and around the box. Obviously, he scored the goal, but it was offsides. Correct call. But it looks like we were just trying too hard to get that first goal, and we were just out of sorts, like you said. Tsimikas was kind of out of sorts. Endo was out of sorts, and I'm not surprised that Endo got subbed off at halftime, whether that was a planned sub or not. And here's the thing about these games, in the Europa League, especially in the group that we have, who knows why the subs are being made. It could be just with an eye on Brighton. It could be because they weren't performing. You just don't know, because I thought Endo probably should have played a little bit more, but with his performance in the first half, I'd have to relook at the stats, but it didn't look like he had a lot of influence in the game as the number 6 there. But then again, the other team really didn't have anything unless we gave it to them, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with that. Endo wasn't active enough, but also it was kind of sometimes just given away cheaply. Worryingly for me, Tsimikas that's another game with a bunch of mistakes in it, and just signed a new contract, and it seems like badly timed, if maybe just coincidental. But he just seems like he's getting these chances in all these midweek games, and he's just not taking it. He's looking poor and out of sorts. I don't know what's going on. I'm sure it'll improve, but it, and he's a backup, but it's a bit of a concern now.
I mean, he's a backup, but he will play some Premier League games. He'll have to, right?
Probably, yeah.
And you're saying that his form is a little off. I kind of agree with it because he's making mistakes in wrong areas, right? As a fullback, that's your primary responsibility, is being a defender, and he's making bad passes and bad positional play as a defender, and that's concerning because you'll play against better teams as we move along in this tournament. So hopefully he picks up his game. Young Kwanzaa came back in. I thought he was pretty much how he's played ever since he's gone into the first team. There's, him and Kanate made some good plays, and probably if I had to just remember how the game flowed, Kanate probably was the best out there in that 11. Gravenberch played really well, I thought. He got his goal on the tap in, so his first goal as a Red. So what do you think about how Gravenberch played?
Yeah, I think he was probably our most consistent player. He probably wasn't perfect, but I don't remember him doing too much wrong. And did, of course, getting himself involved in, big moments. He has the nice shot, great save, gets the goal, which, it's great to see people following shots in. It wasn't a great shot, but if you don't follow him in, you don't get those tap-ins. He was probably the pick of the people, pick of the team really for us. It wasn't like, we wouldn't give him a 9 or anything, but he was a most consistent.
I thought about him today is that he was physically better than who was trying to mark him, right? He was a little quicker. He was a little faster, taller. Hopefully that transcends into the Premier League games. But you can just see that this squad has some depth to it.
Yep.
And, no matter how this team is in their domestic league, we should be twatting them anyway, right? So, but 2-0 at the end of the day, Salah comes off, Jota at the very end.
Yeah, because Jota
gets his goal.
He was struggling a bit too, Jota. We were getting pretty frustrated with him, but he's always a goal threat, and he's kind of different, so different than Nunes, right? He's like, Nunes is always involved in creating chaos and things, but then gets those chances and doesn't always take them. Feels like Jota's kind of the opposite. He's like not involved, maybe struggling, and then just pops up at the right time, and he's pretty calm when it comes to finishing. He actually had that header in the first half, right, where he left really well and gets a decent header. It's a really good save from the keeper again. So I guess, we do have to remember there were those. But, yeah, the chances they had, I'd have to go look at the stats and try and think about how many really good chances they had. Felt like they were quite dangerous, but there probably weren't as many as you kind of tend to think. Right?
Well, their best chances when we had a back pass, right, back to the keeper.
Oh, yeah.
So, and Allison comes up with a big save. So it was 1-0 at the time, and they could have tied that game up. And, props to their fans for traveling to Anfield and having a good time. And they were in good,
sounded like they
in
were
good voice.
having a good time.
But Allison did have to pull that save out there, and he made a couple other saves throughout the game. But we get the victory. Now it's all about Brighton, and we'll have a preview show here tomorrow about them. But you just have to get the results through these group stages.
Yeah.
And then in the second legs, you'll be able to rest a lot of the players, right?
And we do have to remember, we're chopping and changing that team all over. And so guys are getting rest, and that's hopefully preventing further injuries. And so, it's a little bit tough to be switching back and forth your entire team all the time like that. So we shouldn't be too harsh. I mean, they get the result. That's what matters.
That's what matters to me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're entertained.
And it's early in the season.
Right.
I mean, I'd be really worried if we were kind of putting in those performances in March, right? if we make it through to like quarters and semis.
It's one of those things you don't really feel the full effect of it until maybe March, February, when we're able to switch 11 players out or 10 and rotate and give other people opportunities, and so that when they do have to play in the Premier League, they're ready. They're not been on the sidelines for 10 weeks or
right.
And rusty. So a long season ahead of us. Top of the table in the Europa.
Handily placed in the league.
Handily placed. You had your romantic part of the game with the McAllister brothers being on the pitch at the same time. I'm not sure how one has red hair and one has black hair. You tell me. You're from Scotland, so how does that work?
There's a lot of differences between those two guys. It's quite a contrast to see them. But not really sure how McAllister didn't get a yellow card in the first half. It seemed like he had about 8 fouls just by himself. But he was a busy boy. But he seemed to disappear second half, and when maybe he's got an inferiority complex with his brother.
Oh, that's another show to talk about social dynamics within a family. But anyway, hey, we appreciate you guys joining us. Not a lot to talk about today. That was pretty mundane, journeyman-like game for the Reds. We can be better, but to still win 2-0, that bodes well moving forward. And now all eyes on Brighton, and we can't wait to get back here on Sunday, watch the game, and sing some songs, and hopefully get 3 points against the Seagulls.
Who I think got a 2-2 draw in the end, away at Marseille. So they're shipping some goals at least. They're giving us ideas for how to score some goals on them. So
we'll be full of ideas on Sunday, Jono,
yeah.
And pints as well, and music, ACL Fest this weekend. So hopefully you'll be here. So we thank you guys for all joining us. Please subscribe to our channel, set your notifications as we continue to bring content every week, and up the Reds. Cheers.
Well done, Steve. Good process.